Guys, our friends at Ridge have done it again. After creating the world's greatest wallet, they have now launched the Ridge key case. You no longer have to be bulked down by your old jangling keychain. You got to try it out for yourself. Click on the link in the description below. Use the promo code Chael. That's going to get you 10% off. And look how good it goes with my Ridge wallet. The Ridge key case secures between 2 and 6 keys. It organizes your keys in a compact silhouette and folds out for easy access. There are 6 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and my favorite, burnt titanium. The Ridge team is so confident that you like it, they're going to let you test drive it for 45 days. If you don't love it, send it back, get a full refund. Go to ridge.com/Chael to save 10% today, or just click on the link below. Chito Vera is a star. I mean, that really is the final analysis from this weekend. Chito Vera goes in, he fights Dominick Cruz. We all know the story. Chito, surprisingly to me, was a 2-1 favorite. I didn't know that. I looked that up at the last minute. It was like Wednesday or Thursday of last week, a day or two before the weigh-ins. DraftKings has Chito as the favorite 2-1. I did not agree with that. Thought it, at least at a minimum, surprised me. But Chito was polite. Chito did his media. He gets out there. When he goes out and wins, okay? Now, I watched this fight, but I also followed along with a feed at bloodyelbow.com. They believed going into the first round that Vera was up 2-1. I don't have the official scorecards. Those are out there. I don't have them. I thought Dominick was ahead 3-0. To the point that I think if I do go do the search and get those official scorecards, I'm going to be right. I think it was 3-1. But Elbow saw something different. And I bring that to you because maybe you guys did too. And maybe I need to go back and see what I was looking at. I understand that Dominick fell down twice, rounds 1 and 3. That has always been contested in our sport. Like that dialogue and that narrative has never been put to rest. If you knock a guy down, no matter what else happens in the round, are you guaranteed the round? Because in boxing, you are. And so many, the sport of boxing, we don't want anything to do with boxing, but so many times we do pull, we do draw from that. We have lingo and verbiage within our sport that came only from guys going to training camp. The first MMA guy to ever say training camp looked like a dork, and he should have. It was, I come from a wrestling background, with training camp. That is an exclusive term to boxing. And I only bring you that example because, guys, we've always pulled from boxing. We look at them, we know how wrong they do things, but we always pull. There's something about that. There's some kind of level of respect purely into seniority, the fact that they were here first. What do we do in this sport? It's not clear. It's still not clear to this day. It's still debated. If you knock a guy down, regardless of what else happens, can you win the round if he doesn't knock you down? Now, I think the guy at Bloody Elbow believes yes. I think that's why he gave Vera rounds 1 and 3. I'm not arguing with him. I'm suggesting for you because we could still go look this up and one of us is right. I thought Dom was winning. It's very relevant that you understand that because I gave you an assessment a week ago. I picked Dominick Cruz, but I told you in that assessment, Dominick's going to win the first round. After that, I don't know. This is going to be a dogfight. And one thing, if you follow Vera's career, if you just go back and look at Vera's first time beating a world champion, this is now his second time. His first time beating a world champion, third and final round, he lost the first 2 clearly to Frankie Edgar. So Frankie Edgar, who looked to be a better fighter, is now on his way out. He's going to retire. He's so frustrated by the outcome of that. Vera, who wins the fight but only had one winning sequence, looks to be fighting for a world championship pretty soon. I mean, it's very different, right? The way you look at something. Chad Mendes got so frustrated, he retired from the sport because he lost to an unknown younger guy named Volkanovski. But as time goes by, you start to see why when Chad pops in on a grappling event or Chad pops over a boxing cut, he kicks everybody's ass. That unknown non-veteran that got the jump over 3-time title challenger, well, turned out there was more there than was known at the time. I shared with you a week ago, Dominick will win the first round, but Vera will be stronger in the second than he was the third, regardless of who wins the second. Vera will be a bigger problem in the third than he was in the first 2, regardless of what happens in the third. Vera's going to be a bigger problem in the fourth. That's how he fights. He's one of those guys. I would not call him a slow starter. There is something that motivates him. There is something that excites him when he gets hit. There is something about the pain of him getting hurt or getting kicked that doesn't make him wilt, it makes him stronger. There's very few guys like that. But Vera is clearly one of them. A lot of times you paint him with a real simple brush. Oh, he's a slow starter. That's not what it is. Vera is not a slow starter. He's got a very good first round pace. He just holds that pace in rounds 2 as you fade. He holds that pace in the later rounds as you fade. You will get a little bit slower as you get tired. He stays equal. It's one of these spots. I really did think that Dom was up 3-1. I thought that Dom had a perfect game plan. I thought Dom looked great because Father Time will catch everybody. I'm well aware of that. But we have set that clock on Dominick Cruz and we put that label on him for 3 years. And it hasn't. I'm also not convinced that it has now. I'm not convinced that he slowed down in the 4th round. I liked his speed. I liked Dominick's footwork. I liked his attack. I liked his aggressiveness. I liked the whole thing. Look, he got caught with a shot that none of us could have taken. You take that shin to the face, we all have the same reaction as Dom. So I don't want Dom to be overly frustrated, but there is a question. Where does Dom go from here? And in these situations, everything has to be on the table. When I say everything, that includes retirement. I would not call for Dom's retirement. His skills are there. His ability is still there. I'm just sharing for you why come back. And fighters will continue on, and everybody will. Every person in every walk that they identify with, they do what they know. They will come back because they don't know to do anything else. There's no difference in this. But he would have to consider that. Dominick has been very clear that he is on a title run, much like Jose Aldo. I am on a title run. I am my final title run. As soon as I come off that track, I'm going to have to relook at it. Dominick's got a great job. He's got a great career. He's got a lot of other things to do. So let's consider that. And then, of course, give him time. Let's go back to Chito Vera. If Chito Vera did not just become the #1 contender, there was no talk going into this fight that it was for a #1 contendership. But if he did not just become the #1 contender, then, of course, we're going to be looking to Sean versus Yan. If Sean wins, Sean's now the #1 contender. Do we all agree on that? Well, we did until Chito just did what he did. Right? That's where things start to get a little bit weird. Now, those guys are going to have their argument, and one of them's going to win. Let's just say it's Sean. If Sean goes on to become champion and Chito becomes the title challenger, Sean is champion, taking on the one and only guy that beat him. I mean, like, these stories work. Everything here works. You talk about nail in a coffin. You guys have heard that expression? The nail in the coffin to this whole debate and back and forth of Chito having his breakout moment came at the post-fight press conference. Chito talked about Dominick Cruz. He talked about his style. He talked about what he viewed as problems to that style. And Chito Vera, trained by Jason Parillo. One thing about all guys that come in contact with Parillo, and it doesn't matter if it's for a week, if it's training camp, it's one of his old guys. They all have one thing in common, which is an understanding of the fundamentals. Everything that Parillo does, everything that Parillo teaches is very grounded in the fundamentals. And you see when you've got flair and flash versus straightforward approach, the fundamentals is what wins championships. What Chito did was very basic. What Chito did is very difficult. Because you got to walk into enemy territory. You got to take on a guy that you used to look up to. People are expecting you to win 2-1. There was nothing special put on this like a #1 contendership. You're losing portions of the fight. But you got to stay in that moment because you only need one. And you know that about yourself. It's exactly what got your hand raised at Madison Square Garden against Frankie Edgar. You only need one. I have X amount of time, and I got to find one. Very, very hard to do. I'm only sharing what your eyes are showing you are the basics. Chito Vera goes to the post-fight press conference. He buried Dom. Now, you can get into a discussion about the sportsmanship, or was that right? Please, that's not what we're doing now. We're talking about Chito specifically. Serving Chito specifically. It was a home run. It was a grand slam. But it needed to be done. Chito had to show up that press conference, and he had to do and say the things that he did. That was the nail in the coffin. Where does Chito go from here? I mean, right? That's up to you guys. Chito's going to want specific, and he's going to take a look at the rankings, and he's going to want main events and major fight. You guys are going to decide. What do you want him to do? Take a look at the calendar. Should we still look at Sean versus Yan as our number one contenders fight for Sean? Should we still do that? And if we do, we're going to give Chito something to do in between that. The one way to end the discussion and the eventual debate that could happen of Sean getting the nod over the only guy that beat him, one way to solve that debate is to not show up for it. How do we not show up for it? We find something else for Chito to do before that comes. You get him busy, you get him tied up. Who do you want that to be? You only have good options, right? The Chito Vera story, the way he started his career, the way he would not accept this, the hard work that he put in, it's an inspiring tale. So who do you think Chito should fight next?